championship for the first time in 11 years. What a moment. And the way they did it is just as special. Beating the arch rival 49ers, not just for a second straight game, because they did that, not just in dominant fashion, but beating them 41-6 with these incredible stakes on the line. It really is unbelievable when you think about it in that way. Here's a Niners team that, since the last time the Seahawks went to the Super Bowl, has been this team that's been a thorn in the side, that's gone to Super Bowls, and really, in a lot of ways, been in the position the Seahawks wanted to be. But here comes this new Hawks era. The dark side defense was lights out, and that's why they have that name. Mike McDonald has this team humming in every way, shape, and form, and next thing you know, yeah, your Seahawks are on the doorstep of the Super Bowl. What a moment. And we'll get into all that in just a minute. But let's break down what we saw in this game. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. The game was over in the first 15 seconds. Rashid Shaheed bringing that opening kickoff for a touchdown, 95 yards. That was the game. I know there was football to be played, but the momentum on that, the absolute punch in the mouth that it was to the Niners. You saw their sideline. I'm sure I was here, I didn't see the TV. I'm sure they showed it. We could see it from the press box in the field. It just defeated the Niners right off the bat, okay? And so when you think about it in that perspective, it's a really special way to start the game. Rashid has been a spark plug in every way, well worth those 2 draft picks they traded for him. He did it at the second half start against Atlanta. He returned that big punt against the Rams. He has just delivered on key special teams moments. So right there, it's 7-0. And the dark side defense forcing turnovers. I mean, this was really impressive. Ernest Jones forcing the fumble. Julian Love recovers. And the big thing about those turnovers that the Seahawks forced is that they led right to points. And that's the beauty of it, is that it's one thing to force turnovers. And generally speaking, when you do that, you're going to win the football game. But they turned it into points, and that was the difference every time, whether it was a field goal or a touchdown. And that's what was so special. We apologize for the vehicle right behind us. But that's one of those things that can be the difference between being a playoff team, being pretty good, and being NFC West champs. And being pretty good in the playoffs and going to the Super Bowl. And there's something about this team, and I've talked about it on these live videos that we do with you. There's something about this team and the way they play for one another that really is uncanny. And it was really special. After this game, I was able to talk to Rashid Shaheed here on the field, and he said, let's just go out and say it. The goal is the Super Bowl. We're going to accept nothing less. And now they're one game away from that. So now we wait and watch. Next Sunday, 3:30, here at Lumen Field, it'll be the Seahawks against either the Bears or Rams. That game will be solved on Sunday. If you're watching this after the fact, you can give away that I'm at the field and it's Saturday night. And really, I mean, how could you pick against the Seahawks right now? It's a really special thing to think about in that regard, that this team is finding ways to win in so many different ways. Think about these 2 Niner games, right? They win 13-3 down there, but we were calling it down because that's what we saw. Well, this time they dominated again. It was 41-6. And how about this defense in 2 straight games against the Niners has only allowed 3 field goals. No touchdown in a combined 2 games. It's really incredible when you think about it in that way as well. This is a complete football team, getting it done in all 3 phases of the game. So let's enjoy this. The Seahawks are a game away from the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship. The last time we saw it, it was here at Lumen Field, that epic overtime game, the big rally against the Packers, and the big touchdown to win it in overtime and send them to Super Bowl 49. And, of course, the year before, the tip from Richard Sherman sending them to the Super Bowl. They won Super Bowl 48. So this is a really special Seahawks team. It's one that, is going to go down. And ultimately how it's remembered is what happens over the course of the next 3 weeks, right? It's what happens in that championship game. And if they can get past that, what happens in Super Bowl 60 down in the Bay Area. And again, I want to bring up this whole 49ers thing again because you knock them out of the divisional title race. You knock them out of the playoffs, and now you're a game away from winning the Super Bowl on their field. This is like a rivalry-defining or changing moment, and this Seahawks team has earned it. You can look at anything like Mike McDonald being the perfect hire, right? You have folks in Baltimore where they fired John Harbaugh like, oh my God, we should have kept Mike McDonald around, right? And it's because he's a genius on defense. First of all, I love the emotion. They showed him on the broadcast, I believe, smiling after Rashid Shaheed's kickoff return. I can tell you, I saw him. If you want to check out my Instagram, I have a cool video there. He's running off the field and he's pumping his fist. He's getting all excited. This team has just got a really cool vibe about it. And it's interesting because Mike is very buttoned up, but at the same time he lets loose. He's very cerebral. He's a genius, but he also knows how to have fun. And it's the perfect blend for this football team. And he has really instilled a culture that has taken this team to a 15-3 record now if you count the playoffs. It's remarkable the turnaround we've seen here. This team went from, think about this, 2021 through 2023, right? They were 7-10, 9-8, 9-8. Here comes Mike McDonald. Year one, he passes out of 10 wins. And they didn't make the playoffs in a tiebreaker, but everybody's kind of like, yeah, 10 wins was cool. Well, he comes back with 14 in the regular season, now 15 if you count this divisional game against the 49ers. The guy is just a winner, and you never know the first-time head coach. Well, we know now. And the big difference was getting his guys here. And we're talking about that from a cultural fit, like Ernest Jones and Rashid Shaheed, these guys. But we're also talking about the way they play. I mean, Ernest was all over the field. He had the big hit on McCaffrey that caused him to be injured. He had the interception. He had the forced fumble. You have a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence brought over as a free agent. I mean, the guy scored 2 touchdowns this season, both in the same game. But he had a big forced fumble, that big hit on Purdy. I mean, this defense is swarming. It is lights out. And I love that they've taken on their own identity. They know what the Legion of Boom meant to this town. But they wanted to be their own identity, and it's not a disrespect to the Legion of Boom. They have the utmost respect for those guys, but it's doing their own thing, and it's carving their own niche, and it's carving perhaps their own legacy. Hopefully we'll find that out February 8th, and hopefully, I'm saying that hopefully because speaking it into existence is what Rashid Shaheed said to me earlier today. So there you have it, 41-6. Oh, they took it off the scoreboard. Darn it. I was hoping it was still on the ribbon board behind me. It's a statement. It's a statement in every way about this football team. And that's the tough part about the NFL. You know, everything that's been great will ultimately be measured up to what we see next week. But I'm going to tell you something. It's just all these pieces coming together. It's the vision of John Schneider. It's the coaching of Mike McDonald and the culture he set. And listen, you know, you want to talk about a difference? First of all, you have John Schneider bringing in new players, right? Like Sam Darnold, DeMarcus Lawrence, Rashid Shaheed. The list goes on. But then you're talking about a different scheme. Clint Kubiak, there's a reason he's interviewing for just about every head coaching opening in the NFL right now. And selfishly, we can hope to keep him here in Seattle because he's done some really nice things. It's amazing that pieces can come in and out, but the style and the results stay largely the same. I mean, you think about Torrey Horton, how big of a piece of the puzzle he was early, then he got injured, and Rashid Shaheed stepped up after coming over. Cooper Kupp stepped up. And it's been great. You think about the running backs. I mean, they're interchangeable at this point. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet are both so darn good. And Charbonnet goes down in this game. It's a knee injury. Don't know what it means for next week. I will say that I saw him walk off the field. It's just walking. It's not playing football. But he did look normal, have a normal gait. He wasn't limping. So we'll keep an eye on that as the week goes on. But K9 responds with 3 touchdowns. Fantasy football owners saying, I wish we saw that in the regular season. But it's a really special team because this team lives for stepping up for each other. And that's what I'm talking about with that culture. That's what I'm talking about with how special this team is. Because really, when it comes down to the end of the day, there's going to be adversity. And I'm sure we're going to see some next week. I hope the Seahawks win 45-0, but there's probably going to be some adversity. Both Rams and Bears are so good, and the Rams, you have the rivalry aspect, right? But this team is always finding a way to fight through. They lost 3 games all year by a combined 9 points. Think about that for just a minute. And the one was the opener with the Niners. They were still figuring things out. They didn't play their best game, and they still almost won. The second loss was the Buccaneers. Literally the entire secondary, as far as number ones and starters were concerned, were hurt, either going into or during the game. And they still only lost by a field goal because, you know what, the offense stepped up in that game. And then they lost the game down in L.A., where despite 4 turnovers, they still only lost by 2 points and had a chance, even if it was a really long one, for a game-winning field goal. And that's really telling about this team. They haven't lost since that game, since November 16th, over 2 months since the last time the Seahawks lost. And that just tells you all about their response. It tells you all about what this team is made of. And that's what a Super Bowl contender is. You can have talent all over the field. Look at the Buffalo Bills against the Broncos. That's a talented football team. Josh Allen might be the best quarterback in football, right? But they didn't have discipline. They had turnovers. Now, if you're a Bills fan, you're like, well, you know, Brandon Cooks caught that ball, or bad calls from the officials. And I agree with you on that front. But the point is, there was other plays, there was turnovers that ultimately made them be in that situation. And you don't see the Seahawks put themselves in a tough spot like that is the point. Or if something happens where they are losing, it's generally speaking, some other unit of the team is going to find a way to claw their way back. So it's a special club. There's no 2 ways about it. This is a special football team. They earned the right. They earned home field advantage, and it was a difference. Over 68,000 here at Lumen Field cheering the Seahawks, making it deafening out there. You couldn't hear whistles. You couldn't hear the calls if you were the Niners. It was a big difference, and it was all of you. And I'm going to tell you something. I've seen the Niners here a lot. That was by far the least red that I have seen in the stands at Lumen Field. Kudos to anybody who sold their tickets, making sure it went to a 12. because that was a big difference. There's been so many games where anything good happens for the Niners, you hear it's almost as loud as the Seahawks having something good happen. That didn't happen in this one. So this is a really special group. The 12s are behind it. I'm going to tell you, next week could be history-making here in Seattle. In the NFC title game, for the first time in 11 years, sprung there by the heroics of Rashid Shaheed, again by Sam Darnold. I almost said damn. Sam Darnold overcoming the oblique injury, whatever it might be. He looked good out there. He had a lot of nice passes. And the running game, Zach Charbonnet goes down. K9, gotta love K9. Kenneth Walker the third. 3 big touchdowns in this game. So we're going to see it here next Sunday, 3:30. I hope I've got confetti all over me when we do this video next Sunday talking about Super Bowl 60. What a moment. The Seahawks on the doorstep. Remember that over-under in the summer, 7.5 wins? I think those odds makers underestimated our Hawks. 15-3, 1 win away from going back to the Super Bowl. Go Hawks.